Welcome back into the Daft on Draft podcast. I'm Corey Kinnan with Dalton Miller as always, and today we're going to start the week off with a little bit of Daft on Draft or Daft or Draft here on the Daft on Draft podcast. Again, Daft or Draft is our weekly thing where we spit some hot takes and we work through them to decide whether or not we're buying or selling. But you know what? Before we get too much, Dalton, welcome to week 0. We've officially made it to week 0.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we have.
We've got
Yes,
some college football this weekend.
yes, we have. We have what, 5 games this weekend of Division 1 for FBS football, I believe.
It's a funky schedule because there's like week 1 has a ton of Thursday and Friday night games.
Yes, yes.
Ton of Thursday and Friday night games.
And I will have the 5 games from this weekend up on the on the old Patreon when they are going through and get published. So it's going to be a fun time for me while I'm doing that, at the beach. But we're trying to, live our lives here as we would back in Pennsylvania or in Portugal where we used to live. And we're still trying to figure everything out. But I'm finally I got a little bit of relaxation in today. It was kind of nice. So
I love it.
let's get into these takes, man. And I want to point out real quick before we do that these aren't always our hot takes. Like we find topics and kind of come up with things. These aren't like what we necessarily believe, but if we have an opportunity to agree with something or disagree with each other, which we've been doing more of recently,
We have been.
becoming more of an old married couple. But we're going to get into it with one that I think we're going to both agree on.
For sure. I was looking over the week 0 slate here, and I don't think of any of these 10 teams that are playing. There's a single player that we've talked about this summer. So
No, I don't think so.
so that's fun. Even in Iowa State, Kansas State, which is the Dublin game this year, the Ireland game. But anyway, so we decided to. There's one question. There's one after drafting here that's not NFL rookie preseason related, but we decided to go with a little bit of preseason overreaction hot takey here with this stuff here. So we're gonna dive right in and we're gonna talk about some of our favorite players from last year, some players that we didn't talk about too highly of last year, and some other stuff here. And I'm gonna add one to the sheet here while we're talking as well because there's one more that came up. But let's start off here, Dalton. Daft or draft? Titans Gunnar Helm will be tight end 1 for them by the trade deadline.
Draft. I'm drafting it. He's just a good football player. And I know that my buddy Max Toscano will disagree with me wholeheartedly about his blocking ability. Max is a tight end guy by trade. I don't care personally. We see that player differently. And that's kind of all there is to it. I love me some Gunnar Helm. I don't care how he tested. I don't care if my guy Max, who is a tight end guy, I want to point that out. He's very intelligent. He understands what he's talking about. He understands what he is seeing. We just see the player a little bit differently. I think that Gunnar Helm is a dog. He doesn't. It is what it is. We will see him starting over Chug by the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm going to draft this too, mainly because if you look at the depth chart outside of Chigakonkwo, it's pretty barren.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, and also like Okonkwo is the like Jonnu Smith move type of tight end, right? Like that's his brand. I think he's better when you can put him in a tight end 2-ish role where he's not on the line of scrimmage, where he is as an H-back, where he can head out to the slot. You can send him in motion. You can bring him into the backfield. So I think that fits just putting Gunnar Helm in line more. I think it just is what it is. And, Gunnar Helm's been doing what he did at Texas in the preseason. Like he had a nasty contested catch down the seam for a touchdown this past weekend. And I mean, that's what he did, at Texas. Did he test as well as we thought he would? No, he didn't. But sometimes the tape is the tape. And we'll see if Helm can be an outlier here. And I know that we had the sprained ankle there. We always like to point out that he did jump before he sprained his ankle on the 40 when he ran a 5 flat. So, and that wasn't very kind to him either. But yeah, I mean, on this roster, yeah, Gunnar Helm's the best tight end on that roster. So, drafting that one. Next one up, let's move into a quarterback here. And we're not going to talk about a first rounder. We're not going to talk about a second rounder. We're not going to talk about a day 2 pick. We're not even going to talk about a day 3 pick here. We're going to talk about a UDFA that has been putting up some highlight reel throws, layering over the middle of the field, stepping through the pocket here. Vikings quarterback Max Brosmer will be a coveted backup to starter type player down the road like Matt Flynn or Kevin Kolb in years past. Daft or draft?
It's really tough because he's a player that I think you really liked.
I did like
compared to
Brosmer.
consensus, I think. Mm-hmm. And for me, he is a guy that reminds me of one of those old school backups. Mm-hmm. The problem is, I don't know if those old school backups are really going to exist anymore these days. We're seeing more and more and more athletes coming from the college to the professional level, guys who, listen, these backups, they don't offer enough high end to justify taking away the potential of somebody who can use their legs to add a layer to the offense when your starter is out for a few games. Now, where things get a little bit more interesting is when guys are out for an extended period of time and you can have a, Cooper Rush or like somebody who could start 6 to 8 games, not 2 to 3, while your starter has a rolled ankle. So like maybe I just, after 2 games,
that's why these are so fun. It really puts you. It really makes
with a middling athletic ceiling. I'm gonna go daft.
I mean, yeah, you have to daft something like that this early. It's fun to like think about.
Yeah,
but also like Matt Flynn, Kevin Kolb never broke out of that backup type either. Like both, like
yeah.
Kevin Kolb was kind of drafted to be that next guy in Philly and was traded within a year. Matt Flynn signed a big deal and got beat out by Russell Wilson the year he signed the deal. So like, and then he signed another deal the next year with the Raiders and got beat out by Derek Carr. So like, even though Flynn was signed as that kind of backup to starter pipeline, he still never won a starting job in his career. I think Max Brosmer can be a good quarterback, and he's working with the appropriate coaching staff to develop into a good quarterback. That's a lot to put on a UDFA after 2 preseason starts. But this is why I like these episodes. It really puts you in a bind. It puts you on the microscope and makes you be a little hot takey, and that's always fun for us. I'm gonna daft it too. It's too early to tell, but like some of these digs he's throwing, like layering over second level defenders, are pretty nasty throws, man. Mm-hmm. Stepping up in the pocket and making these throws. We'll see. I think he could definitely beat out Sam Howell for QB2 in Minnesota. Like, yeah. I mean, if McCarthy goes down, I wouldn't be shocked if they started Brosmer over Howell. Maybe not. Maybe it depends. Like, if it's week 3 versus week 14, that makes a difference. But like, yeah, I think there's a chance that Brosmer could be Minnesota's backup this year, which is a huge step for a UDFA. Huge step for UDFA. All right, moving to the wide receiver position here. There's a team out west, the Los Angeles Chargers, who drafted 2 rookie wide receivers, one of which has been exceeding expectations. The other, I would say, is, at expectation of what you would expect. But the one exceeding expectations obviously was drafted on day 3. That's the Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver KeAndre Lambert-Smith, who has been making plays all throughout camp. I've seen him pop up all over my Twitter social media of making those dopamine hit or highlight reel throws that teams love to blast out about practice that are completely out of context, but he's been doing it in the preseason game settings as well. Trey Harris did have that pretty nasty contested catch down the sideline this past week as well. But after draft Dalton, it will be KeAndre Lambert-Smith who will receive more targets than Trey Harris by season's end.
Daft. Trey Harris is awesome. He's going to be fine. No, as soon as he was drafted, I thought that is Justin Herbert's new Mike Williams. Somebody who, along the sideline, he's going to be able to out-physical defensive backs and be able to be that back shoulder stopping route merchant, which is pretty much what he did at Ole Miss, because the route tree there is pretty much non-existent anyways. It's all on the vertical plane, and he was pretty good in that vertical plane. I think he's got really good breaks overall. He's not overly explosive. That's not his game, but I think he can be nuanced enough, and he is physical enough to win at the NFL level with that physicality. Lambert-Smith is a much better athlete.
He's a much better runner for sure.
But I am a fan of Trey Harris, and I don't care who knows it in the Discord.
I love it. I mean, yeah. Trey Harris just has such a high floor. He has such a high floor, man. Because, like, I don't see a world where he doesn't produce. He doesn't separate outside. Okay, you put him in the slot. He still knows how to find green grass. And he's still going to become a safety valve for you, like in the slot. So, like, and there, at the end of the day, I think there's a pathway where KeAndre Lambert-Smith can't find the field, because one thing we haven't seen is him play through contact, and that's one thing he couldn't do at Penn State. He couldn't do at Auburn. So, like, I think that the Chargers are going to get more than their bang for their buck out of a day 3 pick in KeAndre Lambert-Smith. But, man, like, we're talking a little too low on Trey Harris and what he can bring to that team and what he can bring for Justin Herbert. So, and how he complements Ladd McConkey, how he complements KeAndre Lambert-Smith. I think he complements those units so well. So I'm going to daft that as well. But I do think KeAndre Lambert-Smith is doing some things that I didn't expect from him this early in the career. So, yeah, fun little receiving core there. If they get a vertical threat, a field stretcher to pair with Ladd McConkey, who can eat up from the slot, eat up from Z, even play a little bit X, and then Trey Harris, if he can dominate as that X, or even sustain reliable success as that X. That's a fun little core there. All right, let's flip to the defensive side of the ball here. I realize this is the only defensive question we have, or depth on draft we have, but we're going to go for it. So in the past game this weekend, Andrew Mukuba, safety for the Eagles, last pick of the second round, intercepted Dylan Gabriel of my Cleveland Browns and returned it for a touchdown. So again, these are all preseason overreaction hot takes. So after draft, Dalton, Andrew Mukuba will be the defensive player of the year over Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter.
I'm dafting this so hard. First of all, it's not going to be a safety. Second of all, it's going to be an edge rusher. And third of all, it's just going to be Abdul Carter if he's healthy. He's playing on that defensive line. He's going to have more than enough opportunity to produce.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see that athlete not producing. So that's that. Daft.
Yeah, hard daft. Hard daft. For one, he's got to find the field. They're giving Cooper DeJean reps at safety. Reed Blankenship is already established at safety. So, like, for one, he's got to find the field with the starters, and he was drafted in the second round. So, like, those 3 safety looks, he's going to be on the field, but not a whole lot. And let's just, like, go back through the history of the NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards. The last non-corner or pass rusher to win it was 2018 and Shaq Leonard. Before that was 2014, Aaron Donald, and then Sheldon Richardson back-to-back years, both defensive tackles. 2012, inside linebacker Luke Kuechly. So if we want to talk about linebackers, defensive tackles, or corners,
it's just not going to be a safety. It's just not going to be a safety.
All the way back to 1990, the last time one of those 3 positions didn't win it. And it was a safety, Mark Carey of the Chicago Bears. I'm not going to pretend I know who that is.
Yeah.
1990 was the last time a safety won.
Yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Rookie of the year. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Enough. Like, are we watching what Abdul Carter's doing against veterans in these limited? Like, he's played maybe 10 preseason snaps, and I feel like that first game he played like 5 snaps and had like 3 pressures. Like, he's going to have single matchups as well, because he's playing along a very sick defensive front as well. So it's hard for me to look past that with Abdul Carter. I think Carter's got a chance to be a runaway here this year in particular. All right, Dalton, I have one more NFL rookie one before we get to the last one, which is an NFL rookie related. And this one's a little bit of a hit to both of us. Not really. It's preseason football.
And did you? Okay, so I can't remember if I actually texted you about this or not, but I thought that I did. Did I text you about this?
Maybe you did.
Because
I don't know. Weekends are such a blur right now.
Because I wanted to do this one, and I'm glad that
you did text me about this. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So last NFL rookie preseason overreactions after draft here, Dalton. After draft, Jaxson Dart will be the best NFL quarterback from the 2025 NFL draft class. a player that neither of us were very high on at all, and both kind of like laughed
based
about being
based
drafted
off
by
of
Joe.
what I've seen so far, and it's tough because both organizations are an absolute train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
But the Giants might be turning it around a little bit. The offensive line is better. Malik Neighbors is a stud. The defense is talented, especially that defensive line that we just stopped talking about. We don't even want to stop talking about them. I think there's more chance of success there. On top of the fact, I'm seeing a much more confident player in Jaxson Dart right now than what I saw in college. Now, there's still some bad misses. There's still some really ugly footwork and pocket maneuvering. But he's been a lot quicker than I thought he would be mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And he even might be a little too quick right now with some things as well, which is interesting because that's the exact opposite of what we saw from him at Ole Miss. However, I just have more faith that that is a unit overall that is going to be conducive to success. And as much as I want to say it's going to be Jalen Milroe, that's such a huge project
Oh yeah.
that I can't. But that just goes to show like how underwhelming this quarterback class really was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of any of these quarterbacks, and the guy that I said that I liked the most ended up going in the 5th round. So
Behind another guy on the same team.
behind another guy on the same team. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna adapt it still. I'm gonna stand on my takes a little bit longer. This isn't me being like ignorant. We've seen like Daniel Jones lit up preseason football. This kind of the same way, and a lot of what the Giants are doing, which they could carry it into the regular season when Dart comes on, is a lot of copycat stuff that Ole Miss was doing. A lot of RPO, Y cross stuff that like Dart is used to running. When teams get out of just these base shell coverages, is that stuff going to fly?
That's
You know,
that's where I'm wondering.
that's the kind of stuff where like yes, this like gimmicky RPO stuff is still working because he's really familiar with it. But like Jalen Hurts is probably the closest quarterback that continues to do that at the NFL level. But like Jalen Hurts is a much better athlete.
He was. Dude, Hertz has lost a lot of juice over the last couple of years.
A little bit, I would say a little bit. Yeah. Um, I'm gonna adapt it still. I'll stand on my takes a little bit longer. Do I think that like immediate success might be a better answer? Like, yes, I think he's probably set up for the most immediate success because again, the Giants have a pretty decent stable of pass catchers. The Giants have a pretty decent offensive line. The Giants have a pretty decent defense. So like insulation wise, we'll see if what Brian Dable can pull out of his ass in terms of coaching. But immediately, yeah, I would say Jaxson Dart is probably better set up for success. Long term, I'm gonna adapt that still. All right, last one, and this is a college quarterback one because, like, Dalton, I felt like we just keep hammering home the point that like young quarterbacks aren't going to leave college football when they're making $4 to $6 million a year. Young quarterbacks aren't going to leave college football when they're making $4 to $6 million a year. It's better for their development. NIL might be the best thing for quarterback development because guys aren't leaving early just for paydays. Blah 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 blah. But what I like about this question coming up here, this after draft coming up here, is it brings out a point of view that we have yet to take into consideration. With everything that we've heard, like everybody's saying about Arch is going back to school for his senior year. DJ Lagway isn't even draft eligible. Dalton, well, we got first to see if DJ Lagway's body can hold up as well because he's been pretty constantly hurt. But Dalton, draft or draft, the young quarterbacks actually are going to be more likely to come out this year if they ball out to avoid being in the same draft class as Arch Manning and DJ Lagway in 2027.
I mean, what young quarterbacks are there?
Sellers, Childs.
Sellers, like Child, maybe like even Sellers might go back because, like, I think when you're looking at Sellers, like he's competing with those guys, and so it might be a situation because he's such a high end athlete because we like the arm so much. He might just have the confidence to stay, make a couple more $1 million, continue to develop as a passer, and then they end up going 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Or 1, 3, and 7. One, like they're probably all top 10 guys. So what's it matter? Now the other guys might.
So the four or
But-
5 names that I would throw out here in this category: Sellers, Childs.
Mhm.
Now we're getting to the guys who I think
Well, like
probably have a little
Mendoza
further
is
to
still
go.
technically he's got
Well, he's a redshirt
eligibility
junior, he's a
left,
fourth
but he's
year. I
got
don't even really
eligibility
consider that.
left.
Yeah, true. I was thinking more like Nico Iamaleava, Sam Levitt, both still 19.
Yeah, but they never mind.
Dante Moore. Those would be that's the kind of group of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, can Moore show something, and then maybe, but still, like he started a couple of games as a freshman, and then didn't play at all as a sophomore. So, like for me, I don't like that he doesn't have the experience that I would like for a guy to have at this point. I want to see a guy who started for a long time at the college level at this point. Like I'm gonna be old and crusty and curmudgeon-y about this at this point. Like if you're because I've been burned. I've been burned on it.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Dante Moore really is a really big wild card in this equation.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's a practice highlight clip, but man, I saw a clip of him the other day, and he looks the part, man. The body type wise, like arm talent wise, the release, like he looks the part. If Dante Moore puts it together, Childs could be as well, but again, because those are the two who look the part out of all of them.
Yeah,
that I just mentioned. Oh man, I'm still gonna draft it. I think that it's still life-changing money to go back to school and continue to develop, right?
I agree.
So, like, what's the worst case scenario? We have a 2024 case where 6 quarterbacks go in the top 15.
Yeah, if you're good, you're good.
Worst case scenario. If you're good, you're good. Yeah.
If you're good, you're getting drafted. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna draft that too. I'm right there with that. All right, Dalton. Well, that's all we've got for this episode of Daft or Draft this edition. We went through 5 questions there in a really time-effective manner. Dalton and I are working through some running backs, so we'll talk about 10 different running backs. We've had to adjust our list because we've already talked about the good ones. You know, Jeremiah Love, Nick Singleton, CJ Baxter, Quintravian Wisner. So we're really having to stretch the surface or stretch deep into this running back class to do 5 and 5. And then one of the guys on our list today just suffered a season-ending leg injury, and then Quentin Joyner from Texas Tech. So we had to add another guy to the list. So, but we are working through those guys, and in the next few episodes, we will talk through some running backs in this class as well. But again, welcome to week 0. We're back into a pretty big routine here. We'll hit a cadence like we did last season, 4 episodes a week. But college football is officially less than a week away. So welcome back to the season. Until next time, this has been another episode of the Daft on Draft podcast.